It's already time for the Group C finals. Have not done the Group A or B finals yet, but we're doing things a little bit backwards this season, I guess. And by the end of this episode, there will be 1 or 2 unmaskings. Let's talk to Masked Singer. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to my recap and reaction video for The Masked Singer. We're already in the Group C finals. There are 3 remaining contestants, and by the end of this episode, we may have only 1. And I say may because I actually don't know, because they may have used the Ding Dong Keep It On bell. The judges get to use that once per season. They just finally brought it out for this season for the finals, and maybe they have used it, so perhaps there's 2 singers going forward, or maybe just 1. We'll find out here, or I will anyway. You probably already know if you saw the episode. But in any event, I've paused it where the first person gets voted out, so we'll go from there. But welcome to my video here. If you are new to the channel, I do these Masked Singer recap videos every single week that there's a new episode. We've been doing it for years and years, since season 3, and so I do urge you to subscribe and like this video. But for the Masked Singer videos specifically, the comments are most important because they really help shape the direction of my my thoughts. And I think we have all 3 of these down, although 2 of them, if I'm right on them, were not my initial impression guess. One of them is, though. I think I have one of these from the start, if I'm still right. But so far, my track record this season has been very poor. I would say probably the worst that I've had since I started doing these videos. I'm only 1 for 4 this season. Now, granted, one of the people I never heard of, the person who first got voted out from Group B, and then Savannah Chrisley. I mean, I vaguely know the Chrisley family from their names, I guess, from the reality show, but would never have gotten her. Kevin Hart was an obvious. And then last week, I didn't know Billy Bush. I went with Anderson Cooper, so I was wrong on that. So 1 for 4. So we're gonna turn that around, I think, in this episode. I hope so. This is Shower Anthem Night. Is the very, very loose structure for this particular episode of The Masked Singer, and we started it off with all 3 of these performers singing "Shower" by Becky G. I wasn't super familiar with that song, but I've heard of Becky G. I don't know if I knew that song, but anyway, that's how we introduced Shower Anthem Night, singing songs that you sing in the shower. It's a very, very, very loose theme this week. And then Nick Cannon comes out. Dude, I hate Nick Cannon as a host so much. He's just so terrible. But he came out and and they comment on it throughout the episode. So I'm glad the panel was at least making fun of him about it. But he comes out in like a blazer, but no shirt. There's no shirt underneath it. It's just an open blazer. So everybody was kind of, making fun of him about that. But they were like, oh, singing in the shower, oh, you forgot to put on a shirt, kind of thing. So whatever. But all right, so the clock sings first. And she says, in my line of work, we love a curtain call. I like to belt out diva hits in the shower. And at that point, we see a shirt that has a candy heart on it that says the word sweet. So sweetheart. I've been among the divas, she says. I was nominated for a major award among some legendary ladies, Aretha Franklin and Natalie Cole. And then we see a clock that says the words wake up. She says, I ended up giving my acceptance speech to the mop at home because I so thought I wouldn't win. I didn't even go to the award show. And so the song she sings is Respect by Aretha Franklin, so I looked this person up from who we think it is, which my initial impression guess was Bette Midler. That is wrong, I would say now. Leaning towards Thelma Houston, which you guys kind of turned me on to in the comments. Although I do think maybe Robin had mentioned her earlier. Was she one of the ones that got mentioned? No, actually, okay, she wasn't. No one has yet thought of Thelma Houston on the panel. But anyway, so I looked her up. I said, okay, what award did she win? Because she really only has, 1 hit. She is truly a one-hit wonder. It hit number 1, Don't Leave Me This Way, in 1976, I want to say. But in any event, I don't even think she ever hit the top 40 again. She had a couple of minor top 100 hits, but yeah, so one hit wonder there. But she did win the best female R&B vocal performance at the Grammys that year for that song. And yes, she was up against Aretha Franklin and Natalie Cole. But here is what is wild about, and this has nothing to do really with the show or the clue package. I just thought this was wild. I can see why she didn't think she was going to win that award. So that award first existed about 10 years earlier, and Aretha Franklin won it the first 8 years, and then Natalie Cole won it the next 2 years. So why would this person even think she was really seriously in contention when both Aretha and Natalie Cole were up for the award again? So I just thought that was very interesting. But the first song to win that specific award was Respect by Aretha Franklin. So I think it was a nice nod to that, that she ended up performing that song. So her connection, the post-clue connections or the post-song connections this week are all about who they know from the panel. They do this usually every season. And it is Nick for this one. And she says, "This is not the first time you've hosted me." So, of course, Nick had a short-lived talk show a couple of years ago, lasted one season. So they were thinking, okay, maybe this is somebody from his talk show. But he's hosted other things, too. I mean, he's hosted America's Got Talent for a few years, and they always have some singers on there, towards the finale episodes when they go to, like, the 2-hour format, and they're trying to pad time. Oh, this week, Train's coming on to sing their new hit or whatever. So it's possible this person could have been on America's Got Talent as well. But the guesses from the panel: Debbie Allen, again, from Jenny. She's sticking with that. We heard Diana Ross again from Ken, but we had a new one from Rita this week, Denise Williams, who is best known probably for her song "Let's Hear It for the Boy," but she's had a string of hits in the late 70s and early 80s. But still, nobody has mentioned Thelma Houston. I believe that that is who is under the clock. So we will see. I don't know at this point if she's getting unmasked at the end of the episode or not. But I do know our next performer, the iguana, is getting unmasked. So we will do the clues, and then I will go to the final guesses from the panel and the video. So the iguana says, "I go full emo when I sing in the shower." And then sort of switches gears and says, "I was living 2 lives before I could drive. I got straight A's in school, but I was also running with the bad crowd." And at that point, we saw the dragon character from The Masked Singer years ago, who was Busta Rhymes. He said, "I went to jail more than once." At that point, we see a thermometer going to below 0 and a picture of Justin Timberlake. He says, "I cleaned up my act after that." All right, and then he sings "Bring Me to Life" by Evanescence. Not the best vocal, which is it's an interesting choice for what I think we are all assuming is an R&B, kind of legend. In more recent years, certainly somebody singing emo in the shower is not going to be 60, but it's just an odd choice. Amy Lee of Evanescence has such a powerful voice. I mean, it really is a vocalist's song, I feel like. This guy has some good dance moves. He has a decent voice, but he is not among, the best R&B voices out there. And this is far from an R&B song anyway. So I don't know. It was an odd choice. I didn't think the vocal was so great. But his post-song connection was for Rita. He said, "We both won the same Out of This World award." And Out of This World award, she immediately went to the Moon Man for the Video Music Awards on MTV. She has won one, Rita Ora has, years ago for a song she did, I think with Avicii, for Best Dance Video, I believe it was. It was up for a couple of different awards, but the only one that it won was Best Dance Video. So I looked at all of the Best Dance Video people over the years, starting with Paula Abdul back in the 80s. I would love to get her on the show, by the way. But going through to the present, and who I think is under the mask has never won that particular award, but maybe he just means he won a Video Music Award in general. Well, okay, a lot of singers from the last 40 years have won Video Music Awards, so I'm not sure that clue is so exciting. But the guesses this time around, D'Angelo from Jenny. I think that's the first time we've heard that one. Michael Bivins again from Kenny. He's been on this Michael Bivins trip since the first week, and everyone has booed him and told him it's a horrible guess. And then Rita Ora and Robin Thicke both brought this name up last week in unison, Cisco. And that is who I have been saying since the beginning, since the first Group C performance a few weeks ago. I said Cisco. He did a dance move in the Battle Royale that I thought was very Cisco. And all of these clues really match up. I haven't looked up if he won a Video Music Award, but I'm sure he did for the Thong Song, because that song was on MTV every 45 minutes when it was big. So I can totally see that. So since he is getting unmasked, we'll go to the lizard now. I wrote down lizard, but wait, is the iguana? Okay. For some reason, I wrote down iguana when I wrote his clues, but it's the lizard. So Ken stuck with his stupid Michael Bivins guess. Jenny said Ray J this time. Who she's kind of been back and forth on that. She said Ray J before for the lizard, and then Rita and Robin both are saying Cisco. I think this is for sure Cisco. I'm going to redeem myself from my very poor showing at the beginning of this season. I'm 1 for 4, but I'm going to make that 2 for 5 here, I think, in just a few seconds. I believe that this is Cisco. So let's go to the Take It Off for the lizard. It's got to be Cisco. Yeah, okay. I thought that was a given. Rita is like in love with Cisco, by the way. She's mentioned many times, if this is indeed Cisco, like she's got, the front row seat to one of her favorite concerts. She loves Cisco. Cisco's good.
I mean, clearly you have rock
but
stages all over the world.
I only really know a few of his songs, to be completely honest. Incomplete was a big hit.
Well, my family loves the show, and every time we saw a season, everybody would always say, "Hey, that's got to be Cisco."
Yes.
Yeah, people have definitely guessed Cisco in seasons past. That's true.
To do it, I seized it, and it's been really fun.
All right, there you go. Good for him. Yeah, I've always liked Cisco. I mean, look, Thong Song came out in the early 2000s when there was a lot of like sort of that fun, silly R&B. You had that. You had, No Scrubs is kind of a silly song, right? And that was out around that time. And you had, trying to think, there was like a whole, Hot in Here by Nelly. Not that that's silly necessarily, but it's, Take Off All Your Clothes. It's like a party song. Anyway, I've always liked Cisco, so whatever. All right, so I've redeemed myself a little bit. Let's see how the rest of this episode goes. I don't know who is, going to be finally voted off, but let's get to the Poodle Moth, and then I'll watch the rest of the episode until we get to the next unmasking. So the Poodle Moth said, "Music has always been my therapy. I let the tears fall when I sing in the shower. My family sold our home, which was filled with tumultuous memories, rather. We see the number 3 at that point, sort of outside the house. So much sadness, but that house taught me resilience." And then she sang The House That Built Me, which I think is by Martina McBride. And her connection post-song is from Robin. She said, "Working with your dad is part of one of the biggest moments in my career." And the guesses from the panel. 3 guesses that we have not yet heard before for the Poodle Moth from the panel. So Sharon Stone was one of the guesses, because I guess she worked with Alan Thicke a while ago. Brooke Shields was mentioned, and even Robin was like, "Oh yeah, my dad used to talk all the time about how he dated Brooke Shields once." Whatever. And then the Robin's guess, though, which this is an interesting one. I don't think this person is under the mask. But you know what? We've had some legends of almost this person's status musically on the stage. I think she's maybe a little contemporary still to be doing this show, but we did have Leanne Rimes. We've had Taylor Dane, people that have a huge catalog of hits. Robin's guess was Shania Twain, because his dad, Alan Thicke, put her up for a couple of weeks while she was trying to get a recording career in the 90s. So Shania Twain, I don't know. But my initial guess on this one was, now I can't even remember, but it was not Chrissy Metz. Chrissy Metz is who you guys sort of, put me on the path of in the last couple of weeks. And yes, I believe that this is Chrissy Metz. Last week there was a question I had, which a couple of you mentioned in the comments, because she talked about the Gilmore Girls. Last week was like TV theme song week, and so Gilmore Girls, big hit show, and she said, that show feels like home, to me, or whatever. And I was like, I can't figure this out. Chrissy Metz has never been on the Gilmore Girls. What's that connection? But you guys, I can't believe I didn't think of this. Because I think of this actor so much more now on her more recent show, This Is Us. But Milo Ventimiglia, who played her dad, Chrissy Metz's dad on This Is Us, played one of the boyfriends on the Gilmore Girls years ago. So that's the connection. That makes total sense. And for this week, the 3 on the house in the clue package is, I think, a reference to the big 3, which is how the triplets on This Is Us, which Chrissy Metz is one of, how they sort of referred to themselves. So, big 3, whatever, and they would talk about that a lot throughout the course of that series. So I think it's pretty obviously Chrissy Metz at this point. Although, I don't think any of those guesses today, Sharon Stone or Brooke Shields or Shania Twain, is necessarily horrible. Especially with the Grand Ole Opry clue from the first week, too. I think Robin was thinking, okay, country superstar. But we know Chrissy Metz can sing. However, I have no idea what her connection with with Alan Thicke is. I looked up her filmography. Unless maybe Alan Thicke was a producer on one of these shows, oh my God, wait a second. Okay, This Is Us. The first episode of This Is Us, where we're introduced to people, the character of Kevin was on this show called The Manny, the male nanny. And they talk about that show throughout the series. It's sort of haunted him because he walked off, in the middle of a shoot. He was like, I don't want to do these dumb sitcoms anymore. Alan Thicke was his dad, I think, on that fake sitcom within the show. So maybe that's the connection with Alan Thicke. Wow. Alan, working with your dad is part of one of the biggest moments in my career. Shooting the pilot episode for This Is Us. All right, there's that connection then. Chrissy Metz, 100%. All right. So we will see now. I don't know if they're going to use the Ding Dong Keep It On bell. I don't know who is even scheduled to be voted out next. We will figure this out. All right, well, no surprise. They used the Ding Dong Keep It On bell. I say no surprise because I think every season that we've had this bell, they've used it like the first episode that they get to. So I kind of should have done that. I'll be honest. I think there may be better uses for the bell down the line. I think Group B might be a little bit stronger. I don't know. But anyway, so the Clock and Poodle Moth did Ain't No Mountain High Enough in the Battle Royale. They both did, their own takes on it. And the Poodle Moth was the one who was elected to be voted out. So Clock was not in danger of being unmasked anyway, but the Poodle Moth was. So we did get the final guesses from the panel before they did the Ding Dong Keep It On bell. So we had Robin sticking with his Shania Twain guess. Jenny went with, this is interesting, and I think, had she mentioned this person before? I don't believe so. Okay. Not, at least not for the Poodle Moth. I think this person has been mentioned before, but she picked up the This Is Us clue with the big 3 and the Alan Thicke thing, but she went with a different star of This Is Us, Mandy Moore, who is more known for her singing, so that makes sense. And I will say, Poodle Moth is a little bit more of a smaller costume than I think we're used to seeing from Chrissy Metz. You guys mentioned to me in the comments that Chrissy Metz lost over 100 pounds since the finale of This Is Us a couple of years ago. So maybe the panel's not expecting someone a little smaller in that costume. So Mandy Moore, I think, makes, maybe a more obvious choice physically. But at least she was on the same track with This Is Us. Ken stuck with Brooke Shields and Rita stuck with Sharon Stone from earlier in the episode. So I will, again say I think this is Chrissy Metz. But now that means 2 of our top 4 have already been put in place. The Clock and the Poodle Moth. So that means only 1 from Group A will be moving forward and only 1 from Group B will be moving forward. And what's interesting is we haven't even met 2 of the contestants yet. I think there's still 2 wild cards. So we're going to get one from Group A and one from Group B. I assume next week we'll be back with Group A, but I should never assume anything with this show because they keep mixing it up. I would like it to be Group A because at this point I don't even remember who was part of Group A. Let's see here. We had all right. So yeah, Kevin Hart was part of Group A. All right. So we had the goldfish, the starfish, the ugly sweater, and the lovebird. Boy, oh boy. All right, ugly sweater. I remember that was Charlie Wilson, I think. Lovebird, I think, is that gay football player that was on The Bachelor. Starfish, I'm not remembering. Goldfish, I'm also not remembering. I know my guesses are probably wrong for those, but I'll have to look back at their performances. That's the problem with. I mean, we did Group A at this point almost a month and a half ago. I don't remember. So anyway, thank you for watching this video. Please comment below with your thoughts on who you think is under the masks, and if you can connect any clues further than what I got. So thank you for watching. We'll see you next time on Dan Reviews It. Bye.